What is up everyone, Movie Wayne back again with another video, and today is just going to be another end of month vlog where I talk about all the movies and TV shows that I watched in September 2024. Got streaming, Blu-ray, cinema, you name it. So let's just get into it now with the first thing that I watched. First up we do have Beetlejuice. Now I hope I'm avoiding the glare there guys, I'm really sorry if it sort of pops in and out of this video. This is a film that I really didn't get on board with the first couple of times I watched it, but decided to give it another go. My wife actually loves this film and she wanted to watch it as well because Beetlejuice was coming out, and you know what? It actually grew on me this time. It's a little bit of a different cover art there, but it actually grew on me a little bit this time. I don't love the movie or anything, but I definitely have more fun with it on this rewatch than I did previous. So I don't really hold too much nostalgia for this film, but it is fun. I mean, this is basically about a couple who die in a car crash, and they go back to the house and they don't realise they're actually dead until this new family moves in, who are very, very unpleasant, with Catherine O'Hara as the mother, who's just wonderful in this. And Winona Ryder's character, who's the younger daughter, sort of can see them, but the other family members can't. And she strikes up a little bond with these characters, but they find the rest of the family unpleasant and they want to get them moved out of this house. So they are doing everything they can to scare this family, to, you know, sort of basically pop out of here and there with different things to scare them in the house, and nothing's working. They're more fascinated that they can actually prove that there's a paranormal stuff going on in the house, because they're just thinking about money and they can prove there's ghosts are real and stuff. So they hire this guy called Beetlejuice, even though they are warned not to get rid of these characters, and it all goes a little bit haywire and a little bit crazy from there. I think Michael Keaton is awesome in this film as Beetlejuice. Look, it's a fun time. I mean, he's hardly in the movie, but when he is absolute gold. It's just a fun movie, you know, nothing more than that really. And bunch of wacky characters. I've got to say that dinner scene is absolutely incredible. I love that. So yeah, Beetlejuice definitely grew on me this time. That is Beetlejuice. Now, for some reason, guys, I just felt like watching a Liam Neeson action movie. I don't know what popped into my head there, but I just thought, I've got a couple upstairs I haven't seen yet. And one of them was Cold Pursuit. And I thought, you know what, 4K, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. And this was quite far from what I thought it was going to be. This is more of a gangster mafia movie, which is Liam Neeson, who's this snowplow driver, and his son is killed by this mafia boss. And he sets out on a rampage of revenge to kill and dismantle all these mafia members. And there's not really that much action in it, to be honest. There's a few little gunfights here and there, but this is mostly done in the style of like Goodfellas in the snow, if you like. It actually says on the back, Taken meets Fargo by the way of Quentin Tarantino. And I think that might be the best way to describe this movie. It really reminded me of Fargo. And I didn't realise until about halfway through that this was actually a black comedy. I mean, it was just ridiculous, some of the shit that was happening. There was some funny moments in this film, but it just felt so out of place. I mean, mainly because I thought I was getting a big action movie, because that's all Liam Neeson mostly does these days, and that's exactly what it looked like on the front cover, but it was far from that. I mean, look, it was good. It was a little bit different, but I just didn't know what to fully think about it. I mean, it's not as good as Fargo at all, but it is definitely going for that vibe. The mafia boss in this was the worst actor I have ever seen in my life. But then when I realised it was a black comedy, that I think he's meant to be doing it this way. I think he's meant to be acting like this, like really stupid and just this really annoying, pathetic character. So yeah, overall it was fine, guys, but I didn't absolutely love this film, or I didn't think it is what it is. I would watch it again just to sort of go in knowing what I was going for there. But yeah, it just wasn't the big action flick I was asking for. And that is probably my fault, assuming things. So that is Cold Pursuit. So because I didn't get that action Liam Neeson flick that I wanted, I thought this one must be full of it, and that is Non-Stop. And yeah, it's a little bit more action orientated, but again, it's more of a thriller, edge of your seat movie. And this sees Liam Neeson on a plane. He's this marshal, and there is someone on the plane killing the passengers one by one, but he can't see who it is. He doesn't know who it is, and this character is sort of paging him, saying another one's gonna die in 20 minutes if you don't give me my ransom. I think that's what they were after, some money or something. And he's trying to save the plane, find out who this terrorist is, basically. And it was interesting, but it just felt so stupid to me. Like, you have to suspend your disbelief, like this is actually happening on this plane. It just felt so stupidly written and stuff. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a fun movie. I did quite enjoy it, but it just the more it went on, the more ridiculous it became. But I always like movies that take place on a plane and stuff, and Liam Neeson does the job here, I suppose, because that is Non-Stop. Next up, I watched Mother's Instinct on Netflix. I wanted to see this movie at the cinema at the start of the year. I just didn't have a chance to go and see it, but this is a really good thriller movie, which sees Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway, who are neighbours and they're best friends, and they both got a son each, really. And Jessica Chastain sees Anne Hathaway's son playing on the roof, and she runs next door to tell her that, you know, he's basically gonna fall, and she can't save him in time. And Anne Hathaway really takes a dislike to Jessica Chastain's character here for not saving her son, and it just feels really, really off between the two. And you're kind of thinking, okay, Anne Hathaway's being a little bit out of order here. And the movie just plays on that concept, really. And you're always wondering, why is she being so mean to her? I mean, I know she's lost her son, but does it really have to be this way? And then there is just some really awkward moments between the two when they're trying to make up later on and be friends. And you just always feel like something is about to explode between the pair. I thought, yeah, really, really good thriller movie. Really enjoyed it. And the two leads were awesome, I thought. So I was always wondering which way it was going to go. And I thought it had a really good ending as well. So yeah, Mother's Instinct is one I definitely recommend checking out. Next up, we have Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. I didn't see this one at the cinema this year. I've got to admit, I didn't have all that much interest in it, but I just wanted to check it out. I've seen all the other ones. I enjoyed a handful of them, especially King of the Monsters, which everyone hates. I really enjoyed that one. But this is my least favourite entry into this franchise, guys. I did not enjoy this movie whatsoever. It just felt so stupid, so ridiculous. And I think because I've seen Godzilla -1 now, that this just felt even worse to me, watching this CGI mess. I can't even hardly remember the movie. It was just a total blur to me. Like, at one point we're going into underside of the world, like the middle of the earth, where the core is and where all these fucking King Kong type characters are living, and there's bad primates that are just fighting with Kong and stuff. I mean, there's a baby Kong in here. Godzilla just is having different attacks around the world when he feels like it. There's other monsters just appearing here and there. I mean, it just did not work for me. I'm not the biggest kaiju fan, and this movie confirms it. I loved Godzilla -1. I adored that movie. This one was just totally other end of the spectrum. It was just absolute bullshit to me. I mean, I give it 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd, but I'm starting to think, was it that? I mean, I should have probably give it a lower score. I can't really remember too many things I liked about this movie. I enjoyed the big spider thing that came out and started attacking the city. That was a cool moment. But overall, these monsters are seen as like anti-heroes, but they just destroy the city all the time. I mean, how many people are probably killed there? It just didn't work for me, this one, guys, unfortunately. So that is Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. Next up, I watched Beetlejuice, and I've got to say, guys, I actually preferred this a little bit more than the original. This is the old family from the first film going back to their house because the father has died, and they have to sort a few things out, and Jenna Ortega, who is the son of Winona Ryder's character in this movie, accidentally opens a portal and lets Beetlejuice back into their lives, and they go to the afterlife and stuff like that, bouncing back and forth, and it's just a really fun time. There's lots of fun characters in this movie, especially Beetlejuice himself, but we've got Willem Dafoe in there playing this detective slash actor who can go back and forth between these two personalities, which was awesome, I thought. Catherine O'Hara, once again here, I love her character. I just think she's an awesome actress. Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega have got this like broken relationship, and that was where I got invested most, because I wanted them to kind of mend it as the film ran on. I've heard a lot of people say there's too many subplots in this movie, and while I kind of agree with that, I think a lot of them wrapped up really nicely, to be honest, and I enjoyed what they did. There was one, though, involving Monica Bellucci's character, who is built up to be the supervillain at the start of the movie, and she only really shows up again at the end, and I was like, that was totally wasted, because they had so much planned for her, it seemed, but it just didn't really go anywhere and just kind of fizzled out. But it's a really fun time. I always love seeing people in the afterlife and how they've died. There's a person walking around with a fucking javelin going through them, and people walking around with piranhas attached to them and stuff. So yeah, for me, I thought it was a really good time. It was a surprising hit for me, because I don't have too much nostalgia with Beetlejuice, but this one I really enjoyed. So that is Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Next up, we have The Substance. I've got to say, guys, this film was absolutely awesome. I actually went to a Scream Unseen at Odeon, which is a film that you don't know what you're going to see. And I'd heard it was going to be The Substance, and I was praying that it was going to be. And it lived up to expectations. This was such a fun movie, but such a film with so much to say, but does it in the most weird and wonderful ways. It's a very hard-hitting film that just absolutely sticks with you. I mean, 5 days later, I was still thinking about this film. I absolutely loved it, guys. It's one of my favourite films of the year. This is directed by Caroline Farge, who is an older female woman, and I think she was best to tell this story, as I think a lot of older women and men will relate to this film. But this is basically about Demi Moore's character, who is this sort of celebrity who's had a great career, but she's sort of in her 50s now, and this Dennis Quaid character, who is the boss of this TV company, fires her and says, look, we need more upcoming talent now. And this leads Demi Moore down a path to this drug in the black market, where she can find a younger, better version of herself, and she decides to go with it because she can just see her career dwindling away. And that brings out the character of Margaret Qualley, who is the younger, better version of Demi Moore herself, and things just start to go down a twisted path, spiral out of control, and go in directions you never thought possible. This is an ultimate body horror film, guys, that when you think you've seen it all, it just throws more and more and more at you. And the last 40 minutes of this film are just unbelievable to me. But the whole movie pulls you right in and never lets go. I highly recommend you watch this film. I've recommended it to a few friends, and they've come back to me and said, I really enjoyed that movie, even though it was batshit insane. So, guys, you got to check this out. If you want to know anything about this movie, just watch the teaser trailer. Don't watch the full trailer, and it will give you an idea, and that's all you need to know. So, great performances all around here. Demi Moore was absolutely incredible in this. Dennis Quaid and Margaret Qualley all brought their A game. It's a movie that is just fucking awesome. So that is The Substance. Next up, we have a Dario Argento film, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. I'm really sorry about this sort of rip here, guys. CEX stickers, what can you say? But I've got to say, this was absolutely great movie. I really enjoyed this giallo. So this is basically about this guy who's just walking down the street in Italy, and he sees this guy attacking a woman, all dressed in black and stuff, and he ends up saving her, and the guy gets away, and he realizes that there's this serial killer going around, and this was meant to be the serial killer who tried to kill this woman, and he tries to get to the bottom of it and work with these detectives in solving the case of who this would-be killer was, who has actually left a trail of murder anyway. He just failed this time. But yeah, I mean, this is a mystery movie that really, really pulled me in. I got so invested in it. I always wanted to know the outcome, always wanted to know what was going to happen. And there's so much great giallo sort of segments in here with the killer and his black gloves, just filming half his body as he walks in front of the camera, all the little giallo sound effects and stuff. And just some great little kills in there as well. So yeah, The Beard with Crystal Plumage, Dario Argento classic. I really enjoyed this one, and I did not guess the end at all, which is a huge bonus. I hate it when I guess, which is hardly ever. So yeah, didn't see that one coming whatsoever. What a great story! What a great directed movie. One of my favorites by Argento, even though I've only seen a few. So that is The Beard with the Crystal Plumage. Next up, we have Speak No Evil, which is a remake of a movie that only came out 2 years ago, a Danish film, even though that's spoken in English anyway, so did we really need a remake? This stars James McAvoy, who is the father of this family, who say meet this other family on holiday and make friends with them, and James McAvoy says, "Look, do you want to come and visit our house in a few months when you've gone home and come and see the countryside?" And they sort of agree, and they go and spend the weekend with their family. But as soon as they get there, James McAvoy's family are starting to act a little bit weird and start to make the other family feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it only escalates even more from there. And the first hour, I gotta say, I thought this was going to be a shot-for-shot remake, guys. I was like, what is the point in this? Every little set-piece moment and everything was just copied off the original. But it does do its own thing in the third act and go in a totally different direction. And with these two movies existing now, you can sort of pick one or the other, which you prefer, basically. I would say this one, it implements the child characters a little bit more and lets them have a little bit more to do with the story. James McAvoy is absolutely unhinged in this film. He always makes you feel uncomfortable. It's a wonderful performance from him. And one of the most surprising movies of the year, guys. I didn't expect too much from this, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, Speaking of Evil is one I do recommend, guys. And it might make you squirm a little bit there, just to let you know, because this movie does make you feel uncomfortable at times. That is Speak No Evil. Next up, we have Talk to Me, which was one of my favourite horror movies of 2023. And this sees a bunch of characters who have this like monkey paw sort of ornament. And every time you touch it and say talk to me, you will see a demon or a ghost. And it'll just send you on a massive little trip for 90 seconds there. But you can't go over the 90-second mark, otherwise we'll start going down all these weird little paths and stuff. And this demon could actually possess you. And this main character called Sophia, played by Sophia Wilde, who's awesome in this movie. Her best friend's brother has a go, and sort of to do with with it being her fault, he goes over this 90-second mark and sort of becomes possessed. And Sophie Wilde's got to get to the bottom of it and try and save him, basically, with all these other characters sort of falling out with her because of this moment. Yeah, I think this movie's got good commentary on addiction and not to mess with things you shouldn't be messing with, really, with the whole monkey paw thing. I think it's got a good bunch of characters in there. I always enjoyed them seeing them mess around with this thing. But when shit hit the fan and they've got to try and uncover it, it does go into a real cool little mystery movie there, and how they're gonna sort of get this kid out of this possession thing. And it goes in all mad twists and turns. Doesn't absolutely fully 100% make sense to me, some of it, but you do get the gist of what it's going for by the end, put it that way. So yeah, Talk to Me. It's a fine horror movie, and Sophia Wilde is awesome in this. So that is Talk to Me. Next up, we have Terminator Zero, which is a TV show on Netflix, an anime to do with the Terminator. And I was actually really surprised how good this was. I mean, it doesn't hold back on the violence or whatever. It just goes for that full, like, sort of gritty, depressing Terminator feel, if you mean. I mean, like with the future war and stuff and what can actually happen. It absolutely tries to go there and shows how bleak that this world can actually be. And this sees, it's kind of like a character like Miles Dyson in this one, but his name's Lee. I forgot his name. Something Lee. Malcolm Lee. And he's found this new AI that could potentially cause another Judgment Day. And this Terminator is sent back through time to sort of make him, sort of kill him, but make his AI that he's got going there become aware, if you like. And this Terminator is ruthless, man. It's just going through these streets of Tokyo, just killing everyone in sight. I mean, it just doesn't give a damn. But this warrior woman is also sent back through time. She's like the Kyle Reese character, to basically stop him and save the kids of this Malcolm Lee character and get to Malcolm Lee himself. And there's a few other twists and turns thrown in along the way as well. But I just really loved all the Terminator action in this movie. I gotta say, Malcolm Lee, though, is just basically, I think his name's Malcolm Lee, I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. It's basically talking to this AI computer he's created all the way through it. And every time it cut to them scenes, I was just like, oh, can we just get back to the Terminator action? He's one of the most unlikable characters I've seen in anything this year. And he just doesn't care for his kids or anything. You just cannot relate to him. But everything else in this show was pretty damn good, I thought. It's a great Terminator show. If you're a fan of the franchise, definitely check it out. And it doesn't hold back, like I said, with the violence like a lot of animes do. That is Terminator Zero. Me and my wife were in a little Tim Burton mood after watching Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice. Damn, I've just said that 3 times. But next up, we thought we'd watch a couple of his animated films, and we started with Corpse Bride, which we'd never seen. And this was a really great stop motion movie. I mean, I say really great, it was a fun stop motion movie, which sees this Victor character being forced to wed this bride who he's never met, because it's forced into a marriage what these rich families are doing. And even though he really does like her, he mistakenly brings back this bride from the dead who takes him to the afterlife, and he's trying to get back to his would-be bride, basically. And this film's got a lot of fun, wacky characters in there, great character designs, and a cool little story. I mean, I did kind of guess where it was going to go, the story, but I was just fascinated by the stop motion here. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I've got to give huge credit to stop motion people who do this as their job, because it is incredible to look at. It really is. But yeah, Corpse Bride, it was fine. Nothing spectacular, but I appreciate the animation so much. That is Corpse Bride. Next up, we have Frankenweenie, which for me was the better movie of the two. This is a young boy who, I think his name's Victor in this movie as well. I don't know if this is meant to be a fucking prequel or whatever, but I doubt it. But he did have a lot of resemblance to the Victor character in Corpse Bride. But his dog Sparky is ran over, and he just can't get over it. He's so upset that his dog has died, his best friend. But he is actually a scientist, and he finds a way to bring this dog back to life. But a few of the kids in the school sort of notice this and try and bribe him and make him use his experiments on what they want to do. Otherwise, they're basically going to tell that he's brought his dog back to life. There was so many Pet Sematary / Frankenstein vibes in here. Definitely played off them 2 movies, I thought. Took a lot of inspiration from them. And more Frankenstein than anything, really. I love the way the dog's called Sparky as well, and he's actually brought back by electricity. But this was another fun movie, I thought. I thought the animation on this, I don't know if it was stop motion or not, but it seemed to flow a lot quicker. I don't think it was, but I love the whole black and white look of it. I love some of the character designs, especially the little weird kid from the school who sort of bribing Victor there. So yeah, it was a fun time. I enjoyed it. A bit more better than Corpse Bride. So that is Frankenweenie. Next up, we have 127 Hours, a film that's been sitting there for a while, really. Very rare I buy movies now just because they're cheap or anything, but this is one I bought a while ago. And to be honest, I did think it looked interesting. This is a film by Danny Boyle, and it's a true life event. This guy who is out mountain climbing or in the outback doing all this crazy sports, you know, you know what I mean. And he is climbing between these rocks, and something cracks and falls and traps his arm, and he's just stuck in there between these rocks, and he basically can't move. He can't get out, and he's basically got a few items in his backpack to try and make do and try and get out of here. And you never ever think that it's ever going to work out for him, because how would it? How is anyone going to find him in this huge outback? He is just lost, basically, in the middle of nowhere, and he can't move. So yeah, very interesting movie. It's got the whole Danny Boyle directional feel on it. Kind of feels like a 90s film. His style of directing is implemented all over it. I think James Franco done a good job as the single role here, but it's kind of like the movie Buried, and I prefer that movie just a little bit more. Did not like any of the music choices in this movie either, guys. The music, the soundtrack, just grated on me. I just didn't like it at all. But if it's one of them movies where it all takes place in one spot, basically one character, although there are a couple of other characters in the movie, but basically for the runtime, it's just James Franco. And if you want to see a movie like that, where you want to see a character get out of a very dangerous and impossible situation, you might enjoy this. It was alright. That is 127 hours. Oh, this was nominated for so many awards as well. One of them is editing. I don't think the editing was great at all in this movie. How that got nominated, I don't know, but that's me personally. That is 127 hours. Next up, we have Strange Darling. Now, this is a movie that had been out in the US about a month before we got it, and I'd heard so many great things about it, so I decided to go and see it. And I thought I was going to fall asleep during this film, guys, because the only showing they had was at 9:30, which means the movie's going to start at about 10 to 10 after all the adverts and stuff. But I was absolutely glued to the screen. I was so invested, and I didn't take my eyes off it. Now, this is basically a movie that is told out of sequence, so it'll start at chapter 3, then go to chapter 5, then go to chapter 1 out of all the 6 chapters it's got. And that might sound a little bit pretentious, but it totally works for the movie and what it's going for. It just makes the movie a million times better. By the end, you will go, holy shit, what a film I've just watched there. And this is basically about a serial killer, and it opens with Kyle Gallner's character chasing down Willis Fitzgerald's character, who's high on cocaine, and he's just trying to kill her, basically. And that's all I'm going to say. But Willa Fitzgerald is unbelievable in this movie, as is Kyle Gallner, but I think she might have just stole the Best Actress of the Year award, because I thought she was fantastic. And this movie, you think you know where it's going. It throws so many twists and turns at you, and when you think you've got it all figured out, the rug is pulled again. I mean, it is such a clever film. It's kind of like Pulp Fiction, if Pulp Fiction was a serial killer movie, all out of sequence. But I just absolutely loved it. I thought this was such a well-written film, so well acted, so well shot. Sound effects are amazing. Sound design is amazing as well. Every time Kyle Gallner's character shows up, you just hear this huge haunting sound, and it's just awesome. Highly recommend, guys. Definitely 100% check this movie out. If you watch any movies on this list with my recommendations, make sure it's either this or The Substance or both, because they're both awesome. And this is on VOD now as well. So that is Strange Darling. Next up, we have Pumpkinhead. Now, this sees Lance Henriksen's character, who is sort of just living with his young son, and the movie focuses on that for a good half an hour. But his son is accidentally killed later on, and the people who accidentally kill him sort of flee and leave the scene. And Lance Henriksen is so upset over this, and he goes and finds this witch who is living in the outback, and she says she can bring this demon to avenge your son's death. And it brings up this demon, Pumpkinhead, who sets out to avenge the son's death by killing these characters who basically fled the scene. And Lance Henriksen you kind of feel like not all these characters deserve what's coming to them, but Lance Henriksen sort of realizes that, but it's too late to stop this Pumpkinhead. Once he's summoned, he has to finish his task, basically. And it is a fun concept, but I think some of the kills in this movie were kind of dull. I mean, it's kind of just this Pumpkinhead character throwing him to one side and then the cuts. But yeah, it was a fine movie. I mean, I think that it is justified to spend such a long time with Lance Henriksen and his son, so you can see the relationship they've got here and how much he loves his son. But yeah, I mean, that is meant to make it feel a little bit more hard hitting than it does, but yeah, I didn't love the movie. It was fine. It done its job, and it was a cool concept. So that is Pumpkinhead. Next up, we have The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Now, this is a film, guys, that I was so invested in. I was absolutely pulled in from the off. This sees a heart surgeon who basically has befriended this boy in Barry Keoghan's character. And you kind of don't know why he's befriended him so much. Why he just kind of inviting Barry Keoghan's character to his house and letting him come and have dinner with him and stuff. And the movie will unravel that later on. But Barry Keoghan is basically a character who won't leave this heart surgeon alone, and he befriends this heart surgeon's children and stuff like that. And you kind of want to know how this is going to play out. And it does go down a very sinister route. And I appreciated a lot of this movie, guys. But by the end, I was just like, I felt like I lost a lot of time watching this movie, only because it just didn't really make sense to me. And even when I looked it up, you've got to know Greek mythology and stuff to fucking get this movie, and it kind of just does it in its own way. A lot of people do like this film and resonate with it a lot, and there are some disturbing moments in this film, and you're like, holy shit, where's this going? I mean, wow, but like, this is a real bad moment, what's happening with this family and stuff. But just the ending kind of ruined it for me. I just wish they would have made it more straightforward. But there's some great performances in here. Barry Keoghan in a much earlier role. You can just tell that he's going to go on to great things. He is fucking incredible in this movie, as is Colin Farrell. So yeah, it's not a bad film at all. It's just ruined a lot by the ending. And make of that what you will. Some people will love that. But me, it just felt very pretentious. So that is Killing of a Sacred Deer. After watching The Substance, I was in the mood for some body horror, so I went with Society. And this is look, this has got B-movies cheese written all over it from the 80s and stuff. I believe it's 80s. I believe it's 80s. Yes, 1989. I knew it was. This has got so many cheesy vibes going for it. And this basically sees this boy who's living with this rich family, but he just feels like they're a little bit off with him. He doesn't really feel part of the family, and he sort of feels like isolated from them a little bit. Even though they're kind to him and stuff, he just feels like something isn't quite right. And the movie will unravel that as it goes on, and by the end, it will definitely unravel it. This has got an insane last 20 minutes, and that is what this movie is best known for, really. But yeah, I didn't love this movie, guys. I just, it didn't really do it for me. There's some great practical effects and stuff, some funny little scenes, some fun characters, but overall, I didn't love this. It was okay. It's watchable, but I was just like that by the end, even with that crazy ending. So that is Society. Next up, I watched The Truman Show. Now, I had only seen this once years ago when it was VHS, and I remember renting it because I had Jim Carrey in. I was a lover of The Mask, Liar Liar, all them type of films, and I didn't realise this was like a drama movie, and I just weren't really paying attention when I watched it. I can only really remember the end. So I'd heard so many great things about this film, and I decided to pick it up on Blu-ray a while back and give it another shot. I'm glad I did, because this film is great. This basically sees this Truman character. Oh, what's his name? Something Truman. Truman Burbank, who is played by Jim Carrey, and he is living in a fictionalized world. Well, not fictionalized, but it's all a reality show. I mean, he's living on a movie set, and he basically can't go out of there. But he kind of doesn't know that, really. And as the movie's going on, he realizes that something isn't quite right, and he's trying to get to the bottom of it. And millions of people around the world are relating to this character, who are watching him constantly, and it's just like the biggest show in the world, basically. And you really do feel for this Jim Carrey character here, Truman. I mean, you want him to get out of this situation, you want him to go and live his own life, and there's moments like where he's getting close to people and people just run along and pull them away and stuff. And that's where he's thinking, what's going on here? So it's a really heartfelt film. It really does get you invested and grip you and pull you in, and you just latch onto this character. You want the best for him. So Jim Carrey puts a wonderful performance in, just shows that he can just do lots more than comedy, even though there are some funny moments in this. I loved the bit where he was just explaining to his wife in the film that these people just walk around and around this neighborhood all day. He goes, "You just go round and around." I just love the way he said that. But yeah, fantastic film from the 90s. Really was. Yeah, that is The Truman Show. Next up, I went to a double bill of the Odeon to watch Terrifier and Terrifier 2. Now, I've seen these movies before, but I went with my friend Jamie and he'd never seen them. And I just kind of wanted to see his reaction, really. But I was planning on watching these anyway before Terrifier 3. And I thought, why not? It's on the iSense in Odeon. Let's go and see this double bill. And yeah, had a really fun time with them. I mean, they're not great movies or anything, but I just really love Art the Clown. He makes these films what they are. Now, the first film is a really gritty, grindhousey type film. It's just Art the Clown stalking these characters in this warehouse. And there's a great kill in there where he saws this girl in half, man. I mean, oh my God. One of the best slasher kills I've ever seen. But there's not really much of a story in the first one. It's just basically a showcase for Art the Clown. But I do enjoy it. It was fine. And there was another kill in there, man, where he stabbed someone in the head and cut his head off as he was being stabbed in the head. I was like, holy shit, I forgot about that kill. And Art the Clown, played by David Howard Thornton, is great. He's a real mime artist and stuff. And he is just fantastic as art. I mean, he's an upcoming horror icon. In fact, I think he's an established horror icon now. And he does a wonderful job here. And Terrifier 2 has got a little bit more story. So it kind of goes into the fantasy side of things, though, at times, and tries to be a little bit like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff. But I think I do prefer the second one just a little bit. The third act does drag, though. I mean, it's a 2 hours and 20-minute movie, and it is absolutely flying by, but that last third act just drags a little bit and has too much going for it. But Art the Clown is great in that one. Again, the bedroom kill is awesome. I love the fact that he cuts this woman's head off and takes her brains out at one point, and he puts a load of Halloween candy in there, or Halloween sweets. Why am I saying candy? Puts a lot of Halloween sweets in there, and these trick-or-treaters knock at the house, and he's sort of handing this head around, and the mother's going, "Wow, isn't that so realistic, kids?" And one of the fat kids takes more than one, and he hits him on the hand and goes, "Only one." Yeah, so great character, man. I love Lauren Rivera in this second movie as well. Such a great final girl. I can't wait for Terrifier 3. Really can't wait for it, which I'll be going to see very soon. So yeah, that is Terrifier and Terrifier 2, The Deadly Duo on Odeon Cinemas. But I do own it on Blu-ray as well. Next up, I delved into this meaty 4K box set of The Hitcher. I've done an unboxing for this on the channel, guys, if you want to check it out. But I was always going to buy this, and it looked great on 4K. Some of the interior shots, a little bit grainy at times, but the exterior shots with all the mountains in the background just look great. Now, this is a typical horror story of Not to Pick Hitchhikers Up, which is, oh man, what's his name? Right, I'm just going to have to look at the back. I know his name. C. Thomas Howell. Oh my God. This is C. Thomas Howell pick up this hitchhiker, played by Rutger Hauer, and he's kind of just trying to talk to him and stuff, and Rutger Hauer's making him feel very uncomfortable. And what ensues is Rutger Hauer making this kid's life a living hell. And C. Thomas Howell is just trying to get away from him, and Rutger Hauer is always in pursuit, always there, always killing people around him, making his life hell. And it's just a great film. It's a real cat and mouse movie. Rutger Hauer in this is phenomenal. He's one of my favorite movie villains in John Ryder, and he is terrifying in this film. It's just a great on the road horror movie, and I love the whole setting of this, you know, in the outback and stuff. It's awesome. So yeah, definitely recommend The Hitcher, guys. It's fucking incredible. That is The Hitcher. And last up, we do have a new cinema release called Never Let Go. This sees Hal Perry and her two sons living in the woods because the evil has took over the world, according to Hal Berry, and that's what she tells her kids. And they are attached by ropes to this cabin, and they can only go so far into the woods to look for food and stuff and try and survive, but they're not allowed to let these ropes come away from them, otherwise the evil will come and possess them and take over the cabin basically and kill the family. So Halle Berry is very strict on these rules, and it kind of works like the movie Frailty, where you don't know who to believe. One of the kids believes Halle Berry and the other one kind of doesn't and thinks she's full of shit. It's a concept I've seen before. Now, even though it's kind of interesting at times, I lost interest about half an hour in, and the middle ground of the movie is really dull and boring. It's just a depressing setting what we're in here, but I did kind of want to find out what was going to happen at the end, just to see who was telling the truth or what Halle Berry was saying was really true. But you do sort of lose interest as well at the same time. I mean, this showed so much promise from the trailers, guys, but for me, it just didn't fully land. And it's trying to go for some creepy moments here with these demons in the woods at times, what Halle Berry can see and stuff. But this movie wasn't too scary for me at all. So yeah, Alexandra Aja, who made High Tension, I thought he'd done a great job of that film. Sort of fell flat with this one, unfortunately. So that is Never Let Go. Disappointing. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. What did you think of these movies? Please do let me know in the comments down below. I'll get back to you all, I promise. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. So thanks so much guys. You take care. I'll see you all in the next one.